That's what I said to you, is like, what of your needs isn't getting met? I think if you're burning down, you're probably missing out on some of your needs. And again, it could be sleep. Like maybe you're not sleeping enough. It's a lot easier to burn down when you're not getting the right amount of sleep.
I think that we are born into this life not really knowing who we are or what our greatest gifts are. We go and explore and expand, and then we're supposed to burn down and then rise from a new level of awareness of like, okay, now I know that that's not for me, that's not for me, that's not for me.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University. We hope, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. I almost jeffed it. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was last week's live podcast, How to Find Fulfillment in Your Life. Today, for episode number 807, Building Back Up After a Burn Down. So Alan and I, as you know, we record our episodes on Monday, and we were talking, and Alan's like, man, I feel like there's a burn down coming. I gotta make some changes. And I said, honestly, I think that would be a very valuable episode for us to do, because if you're listening to this, you're trying to get to the next level. And oftentimes that, more often than not, is going to require you to stretch beyond your current capabilities. And at the end of a long stretch is some sort of burn down unless you avoid it. So we thought it would be valuable to talk about.
So this is my story that I use with my clients constantly. And I've used this on the podcast before, so bear with me if you've heard this before, but it's so powerful. I think of all of us and our growth journey as a plane on a runway. And you start to really gain momentum by doing small daily disciplines that are really important. Health, wealth, and love. You start to gain momentum. And as you gain momentum, you're building up speed and you start to hit some adversity, but you have momentum, so you keep going and you start to elevate. Every time you hit adversity, you kind of like, because you have so much momentum and so much self-esteem and you're excited to be on this new journey, whether it be fitness or relationship or financial or business, you hit the adversity, but it's kind of small adversities, and you kind of like, adversity in this analogy is like the wind against the plane's wings. Okay? Kevin's scared of planes, so he's going to love this. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the plane starts to take off and starts to elevate to a new level. Next level, you. Okay, elevate to a new level. You start to elevate, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. You get to a new level that you've never been to before, and you start looking out the window, and you start looking down, and you start noticing all these amazing scenery. And at this new level, you get new opportunities that you've never gotten before. You start to meet new people. You get invited to this other networking event. You get invited to the gym with this new person. You just start to attract people at that level, or at least perceived at that level. What happens is all of us fall victim to shiny object syndrome. We start to find these other opportunities. So one example is Kevin and I are now invited to a lot of different podcasts. We're on a lot of different podcasts. Sometimes if Kevin's doing 3 or 4 or 5 other podcasts a week, and I'm doing 3 or 4 or 5 other podcasts a week, sometimes this podcast doesn't always get recorded as promptly or as well as we would like. And so it starts to take away the momentum that originally got us to that level. Okay? So Kevin and I elevate to a new level by being so good on Next Level University. All of a sudden we get all these opportunities on these other podcasts, these other shows, and we start to lose sight of the very thing that got us that elevation in the first place. And like you always say, when you stop doing what got you to the dance, you don't get to keep dancing. And so I think life is a constant progression of expansion and refocus in every area. And so you get to this new elevation, you start to look around, you start to see the scenery, you start to get new opportunities, you start to expand and grow. The problem is that you probably start losing sight slowly of the small fundamental disciplines, the mobility, the behind-the-scenes reading, the listening to NLU every day, the reviewing the show, the prospecting, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you stop elevating. But it's usually not that noticeable because things are still appearing to go really well. Now the nose of the plane starts to go in the other direction, and you start to lose momentum, and you start to start crashing. By the time you notice that the plane is nosediving, it's very hard to not crash. The cool part about this analogy is that when you do burn down and you do crash the plane, you don't lose your life like in a real plane crash. What you do is you lose the old you. the old you sort of burns down. And it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual, and it's physical sometimes. And you burn down, and you have what's called burnout. And the phoenix burns down, and then the new version of you rises from those ashes. And by the new version, I basically mean, like, imagine, we have a friend, Mark Metry, who has an old podcast that used to be called, he's since rebranded to, I think, the Social Anxiety Project, but it used to be called Humans 2.0. And so, Kevin and I are 5 years into this podcasting journey, and we just looked at our free course, by the way. If you want it, please reach out to us. But we just reviewed the first video from our free course, and we were talking about how we just surpassed 600 episodes. That was maybe version, Alan 6.0 or Kevin 6.0. The point is that at Alan 6.0, that 6.0 version has to burn down so that the 7.0 version can elevate from that place. And so I created with Kevin before this episode, a 7-step process on how to rebuild after a burn down, because honestly, this is just par for the course. I've never met anyone in the world who never burns down. I think the analogy here is everyone falls off the horse. And some people say fall down 7 times, get up 8, which mathematically makes no sense, by the way. Fall down 7 times and get up 7 times, right? Have you ever heard that expression?
Not only have I heard it, I've said it.
You've said it, literally. Fall down
I
7 times, get up 8. That makes no sense. You can't get up one more time than you fall down.
Get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down.
Yeah.
Get up.
You can only get up as many times as you fall down.
That makes sense.
Fall down 7 times, get up 8 doesn't make sense. But anyways, so fall down 7 times, get up 7 times. And the point here is make sure you're getting up. Each fall down should be less frequent and less amount of time while staying down. And so I talked to Kevin about this. Kevin's talked to the listeners about this. I used to have bad months. I remember back in high school, I was out for 2.5 months. Then I had bad weeks. Then I had bad days, or weekends, rather, or a couple days. Then eventually it was a day. Then eventually it was like, now I'm down to the point where my burn down lasts anywhere from like a couple hours to like as minimal as like 15 minutes. But like mini burn downs and bigger burn downs, my bigger burn downs are like an entire morning where I'm contemplating and trying to figure out my life. Mini ones are like, 20, 30 minutes or like an hour and a half nap, depending midday, depending on how it goes. But basically on this episode, we have a 7-step process on how to make sure you're improving after each burn down.
And before we do that, I think it's needs. That's what I said to you, is like, what of your needs isn't getting met? I think if you're burning down, you're probably missing out on some of your needs. And again, it could be sleep. Like maybe you're not sleeping enough. It's a lot easier to burn down when you're not getting the right amount of sleep. But like I think of, and I wasn't a burn down, but it was very much like I need time for Kevin, just a night to Kevin. And that's I think I'm pretty good at catching it before it happens. I think that's something I'm pretty good at. But it's like, okay, I'm tracking every calorie. I won't say every calorie because when we go out to eat, I just guesstimate. But like I'm tracking every calorie that goes into my body. Every time I walk in the gym, I do 20 minutes of cardio. I'm weight training 6 times a week. Like, I have a bunch of new clients. Like, there's just a lot going on. So, like, when it comes to health, wealth, and love, I'm trying to elevate all 3 at the same time. So, like, I'm on the thrusters. I'm just hammering. So, obviously, you're gonna burn out a little bit quicker because you got the pedal to the metal across all fronts. I believe that you have to find R&R throughout the week. That's something for me, like 2 hours a night of R&R. That's where I am, and that really helps me because it allows me to get up early the next day and do it again. That's what really helps me. But if you hit the level of burnout, then this is what Alan and I have determined, like, this is probably the best way to get back from that.
Kev, I'm not doing the 3 hours. I'm breaking my own rules, 80-20. 3.2 hours in a 16-hour day is 20% R&R.
I know.
No chance I'm getting that. So that was a mirror for me right there. I'm probably getting 45 minutes. I'll like eat a pre-carb meal before the gym and I'll like watch something. Right now I'm watching Adrift. It's like based on a true story. Sailors, Netflix. Actually an excellent movie. But it's not as much as it used to be. But anyways, so I'm gonna look at that. Okay, so the first step is burn down, which we all do. Some people it's for weeks, some people it's bad weekends, some people it's days, sometimes it's hours, afternoons, evenings, whatever. Any sort of burn down. This can be a difficult conversation you had in your relationship, an emotional burn down. This can be, after Thanksgiving, you had an argument with your sibling, whatever it is. Okay, number one is burn down. That's step one. Okay, we all know that part. We all do that. That's going to happen whether we like it or not. It's genuinely unavoidable. I think anyone who thinks it's avoidable it is probably not being realistic in terms of the process of being human. Number two is seek some comfort. So step two, once you burn down, step two for me anyways, is I go and seek some comfort. Obviously not enough based on what we just talked about, but I do. I get into sweats. I'll get into gym clothes. I'll eat food. Food is definitely one of mine for sure. I usually like to watch an old movie that I know really well, like a comforting movie. What's a good example of this? One of my go-to movies. Any sort of kids movie, like a Moana, something like that. Something that's playful and fun and I don't have to think much. So seek comfort in whatever form that is for you. Some comfort. Be careful with that, right? Try not to have really detrimental comfort. Try not to go drink a bunch, or that used to be one thing I used to do is I used to drink when I was burning down alcohol. Okay, number three. After you seek some comfort and get to a more resourceful place, you need to seek solitude and you need to contemplate. Okay, so let's say it's the next day and you're just contemplating. What do I mean by contemplation? Contemplation is okay, what was the root cause of the burn down? What was the root cause of that fight with my sibling or argument with my sibling? What was that root cause of, and by the way, I didn't argue with my sibling on Thanksgiving, but these are just examples. What was the root cause of that challenging discussion with my intimate partner or whatever? You need to contemplate what was it that caused the burn down in the first place. We just now identified that obviously I'm not taking any R&R. Right? Or enough R&R. So there's the root cause right there. Okay. You need to now either seek a resource in a person or some sort of a seminar or workshop or book or whatever. We just had Liz on. Liz does intimate relationships. So if you're struggling in your intimate relationship and your intimate relationship feels like it's having a mini burn down, she would be a great resource to call. And our clients in relationship talks also with Emilia and I, that's a lot of times what happens. Our clients will be having a mini burn down and they'll call us as a resource and then I help them through this process. So for me, it's Kevin or Emilia. Typically, I talk to them about what I'm going through or growing through, and that helps me understand what I've been contemplating and bounce some ideas off of them and get their perspective so that I can start seeing things more clearly, and then eventually it's a breakthrough. Once you get the breakthrough, you'll know it. It's a feeling. It's I just had it live on this podcast. I am totally doing 95/5, not 80/20. Because when you said 2 hours a night, I was like, there's no fucking way I'm getting 2 hours a night. Seriously, there's no way. I've been jeffing on that.
I would have guessed that. Yeah, I would have guessed that.
Right. Which is probably why you anticipated that I'd burn down. Okay, number 5, after you have the breakthrough, is redesign and innovate. Refocus. So you know how the plane analogy, it was expand, elevate, shiny objects. Refocus is okay, I'm back on the runway. What are the basics? Number 6 is back to basics. What are the basics? Okay, track my calories. Okay, step on the scale. Okay, do mobility and eat healthier micronutrients so that you don't get injured. Back to the basics, the fundamentals. Okay, maybe I need to start reading some books again so I'm more inspired in the morning or whatever it is. Okay? Number 7 is you start building slowly but surely from that new redesign, that new back to basics place. Now, every single time, and I'll give you guys an example in my life, when I had this mini burn down, I decided to go back to my critical numbers. My critical numbers are the things that I've determined in advance will make me it's MIML score is what I call it. It's mastery, impact, money, and love. And quality time with Emilia is number 1. Number of days alcohol free is number 2. Number of podcasts is number 3. Number of coaching is number 4. Like those things. So that's why I know my numbers in terms of thousands of hours of coaching, podcasting, speaking, and training and consulting. The reason I know that it's thousands is because I have it tracked. I'm at like 4,900 total. But basically, I used to have men's physique shows on there, and I used to have photo shoots and video shoots. And I got rid of 2 columns because I'm trying to refocus on the essentials. I think that we are born into this life not really knowing who we are or what our greatest gifts are. We go and explore and expand, and then we're supposed to burn down and then rise from a new level of awareness of like, okay, now I know that that's not for me, that's not for me, that's not for me. And I think we slowly but surely start to understand who we are, and that's why I think older people tend to, when we're in our 20s, we just, every party we say yes to, every barbecue, we're everyone's best friend, we're just out there just, doing all these things, persons, places, things, and ideas. Everything's a good idea when you're young. And I think that when you get older and older and older, you realize, like, I'm going to burn to the ground if I keep that up, right? Even the holidays, December, they stress me out a little bit because it's like, how are we going to operate effectively through the holidays when we have all these things that we need to keep momentum? Books for Babes and charity initiatives, podcasting, relationship talks, virtual events, preparing for 2022, so it's a lot. Back to basics, build incrementally. Start small and build.
My name is Nathan Schwermann. I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. I've been a client of Alan's for coming on 2 years now, and I really can't recommend his program enough. Alan's always there for me with great advice and holding me accountable every step of the way, and really leading by example. I've grown a lot in his program, but he's grown alongside with me, so I'd really recommend joining up on the program and joining the community.
I second all that, obviously, but I think it is. I think it's checking proactively where you're at. I think that's a huge thing for people is like, if it doesn't fill your cup, question whether or not you're capable of doing it. I do believe that because it's the stuff that's I don't want to say out of alignment, but not as in alignment that drains you faster.
For sure.
It's like you're swimming upstream. Like you're obviously going to get more tired more quickly. Mondays are marathon Mondays. We call them that. The team knows that. I'm sure Emilia knows that. Tara knows that. It's like at the end of a marathon Monday, I've been going for 17 hours or something. It's like after this, I am done. Like I am done. I put my phone away and I go sit down and eat and watch TV for an hour or two, and then I go to bed. Tuesday's different, right? Tuesday's a little bit different. So I just think it's important to check in with, like, at the end of your day, how do you feel? Did you give it all? How much do you have left? Really be honest with yourself and proactively check in. Like, how well are my needs being met? Did I get enough? Am I getting enough sleep? Because if not, everything is going to get worse. Have I been eating more than I should? Like, I just think it's important to check in proactively. And I think you always are pedal to the metal. Like I think you're always on the verge of a burnout or burn down, but I think that's a good thing, where I'm always trying to avoid it. Like always of like, okay, can I actually do this? Can I actually do this? We just added 2 more things to my system and now I'm doing 18 things a day. And it's like,
Coming off 100% week. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I know I can handle that right now. I'm not really too worried about it. But if there was other things going down and I felt like I was close to burnout, I would have been like, no, it's not. Like, notice how I told you, like, let me start next week. Remember I said that last week? Like, there's a reason, because I knew that was too much. So I think it's knowing yourself and self-awareness. I think that's important.
It's the challenge skills sweet spot that we talked about with Stephen Kotler on the interview with him. Do you know what number that is?
I will find out, because that is a fire. I don't have my phone. Taryn stole my phone. I'll look.
Honestly, it's at it's on the spreadsheet. It's on the master list. We have a master spreadsheet or master sheet of all the episodes that Christina. Thank you, Christina, for creating
yes,
that.
thank you.
And for updating it every week. So Stephen Kotler calls it the challenge skills sweet spot. And the simple analogy here is fitness. Like, if you're having a tough week and you haven't gotten good sleep, you're not going to be able to lift the 80-pound dumbbells for 8. You're not going to PR. As a matter of fact, Emilia and I go to the gym together, and she'll always, we have a symbol. It's actually this. I don't know if you can see me, Kev, but this is the symbol for a PR. Basically, it's horns, because there's a movie, Dances with Wolves. They call it Tatanka is the name of it. So Tatanka means like you're strong like bull. It's a whole thing. But basically this symbol, if you ever see us do that in the gym, it basically means like you PR'd. Congratulations. And usually we celebrate with like a kiss or whatever. So she'll often ask me like, was that a PR, like Tatanka? And it's like, no, because I used to be 220 pounds and I'm 30 pounds lighter than I used to be. So there's not going to be a lot of strength PRs. But here's my point. The chances of me having a strength PR at 30 pounds lighter is very, very slim. And if you're into bodybuilding, you'll understand that the more mass you have, the easier it is to be stronger. That's why all those strong men in those strongmen competitions and strong woman competitions, they tend to not be very lean because that's a thing. But so the point I'm making here is basically there's one layer deeper to what Kevin's saying, which is the challenge skills sweet spot. You have to identify your own unique challenge skills sweet spot. But the key is to make sure it is outside of your comfort zone. Because if you're constantly worried about burning down, you're never going to push it. Like, you and I have never met a bodybuilder who's successful at bodybuilding who hasn't ever dealt with injuries. And the reason why is because in bodybuilding, you have to take some risk. You know, Next Level Live, March 26th, we're going to sell out a room of 100 people. That's what we consider our current challenge skills sweet spot, which is like, yes, we can do that, and we know we can do that successfully, but if we tried 500, there's a chance we could do that, but what else might burn down in the meantime? So you have to understand the macro of this, and some people are overly conservative, and they never get outside their comfort zone enough. Other people are overly reckless, like me, and they just constantly push.
632 was The Art of Impossible with one Steven Kotler. And yes,
wild.
Yeah, right? So there's a lot of episodes ago. It is a very important understanding for you to know where you're at. The reason I said that, Alan, and this is a little behind the scenes for the listeners, is in a matter of like 3 weeks, I went from averaging, I don't know, maybe like a call or two a day to doing 30 in a week. And it was like, I already knew that put me way outside. And I was like, all right, how do I hone that in? How do I ratchet that up so I don't burn down? So I do think it's like sometimes you have to be reactive. You have to be proactively reactive, I think. That's I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm going to
go deeper on that. Proactively reactive.
In real time and reviewing your calendar, I reviewed my calendar and said like, okay, I did 30 calls this week, and the most I've ever done before that was like maybe half of that. We got a bunch of new clients. There's all this stuff going on. Like, I know what that means next week. Like, I know I'm going to be weighed down. I'm going to be weighed down because I really, really gave it everything I had this week, more than I had, honestly. So I feel like next week I'm going to have to keep an eye on how I'm feeling. And if I have to take a little bit of extra rest, I will. And then but with the hope that, or with the intention that the week after that, or the day after that, or the moment after that, I can level up, not just so I can seek an extended amount of comfort.
I don't do a very good job of that, I don't think.
No, probably not. Probably not.
I want to do better. I want to do better at that, I think. I just push it until the burn down. I'm not like afraid of the burn down. I think I know it's coming, but it does suck. It really sucks when you're in it, and it's like you question who you are. It's really
for you,
actually a scary place to be, for sure.
Do the math. Do the math of like how much are you leaving on the table by burning down versus doing 90% days or whatever it is. You know, that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an improvement point for me.
We need to go.
Yeah, we gotta go.
We gotta get out of here. We'll do this all day.
I'll give those steps real quick,
please.
Number 1 is burn down. We all do it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Don't get stuck in shame. Number 2, seek some form of comfort to get you at least to baseline. Homeostasis, as Liz put it.
Yes.
Number 3, seek solitude and try to contemplate why the burn down happened. Okay, the contemplation is key. Now you need to go to a trusted resource. Maybe it's a book or a YouTube video or a feedback partner or a podcast. Okay, seek something in that area. So if you burnt down because you had a challenging conversation in your relationship, read a relationship book. The goal here is to find the breakthrough or talk to someone who you trust actually has some awareness in relationships. Okay, then redesign and innovate after you get the breakthrough. So express to a trusted loved one plus contemplation leads to a breakthrough. Once you get the breakthrough, and you can't rush that, but just seek, and eventually you'll find it. Once you get the breakthrough, now it's time to redesign based on the new awareness. Whatever that aha moment was, it's like, oh, okay, I need to trim the rose bush and take more R&R time. And I think one of the things that I'm realizing in this moment, Emilia is extremely, extremely hardworking, and I've never lived with someone who's so hardworking. So I'm headed more towards her end, and so I'm not taking as much R&R because now we have a home, and I'm probably leaning more towards work, because I used to have more people in my life who would level set that. So that's fascinating too. Okay, and then number 6, back to basics. Once you have the breakthrough and redesign and innovate, get back to the new understanding of the basics, okay? And then very last is build slowly. Build back up slowly and incrementally over time from that new higher 0.0 version of yourself.
Boom. Next Level Nation, we have the link to our free online training course. What is it? What it really takes to get to the next level, the 5 C's. We break it down to the 5 C's. I can't tell you what they are because they're in the course, but it is 100% free, no strings attached. Just click the link in the show notes. It'll take you right there. And if you feel like, you know what, I'm burnt out, I need some more resources, that is a great place to start. And honestly, if you have consumed a lot of our episodes and you have forgotten what we've talked about, because we have a lot of episodes, so I forget. Like, I should know what episode Stephen Kotler was. I had to look it up because we have a lot of episodes. If you just need a little refresher, it's there for that as well. Totally free in the show notes right below us.
Free, but that does not mean it's not valuable. It's extremely... Kevin and I dedicated an entire day and a lot of conscious thought into that. If it's got worksheets designed by Christina, it is like the real deal. So it's
as the financial guy, you know, the financial person in this business, I wanted to charge for it. And Alan was like, hey, we should give this away for free. And I was like, well, we'll do that then. Then we'll do that then.
Yeah, which he's thrilled about. But seriously, all you got to do is opt in with your email address, and then you get the course completely free. Please, please, please check that out. At least check it out. You're going to be blown away. There's no version of that course not helping you create more momentum and direction in your life. It's fire. It's absolutely
And you can do it at your own pace too. It's like there's modules. Each video is broken up. You can do a video a day if you want. You don't have to do it all at once. You can take your sweet time.
Hell yeah.
Anything else?
One-on-one coaching. I'm cutting my coaching off at 20 clients. I'm very close. Please reach out if you want customized. Basically, everyone, think about a fighter without the right person in their corner. You might get beaten up, and you're not going to be a world champion without the right person in your corner. Whether it's UFC or MMA, which is the same thing, or boxing. Yeah, thanks, brother. You need the right person in your corners to succeed at the highest levels. You just do. Every sports team on the planet has great coaches, at least championship teams, right? So let Kevin and I guide you. Kevin for podcasting, me for life, career, business, peak performance. You need the right person in your corner. My clients would. And if you are interested but you're uncertain, reach out to me. I'll literally give you the Instagram handles of all my existing clients, and I've asked them to just be honest. I'll give you the Instagram handles. You can say, hey, what's your experience been with Alan? And they'll just be honest.
And I second that. When I was going from mindset, peak performance to podcasting, I sent all my clients to Alan. So if that isn't an indication of how much I believe in Alan's coaching, then nothing is. Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 808. It's from last week's live Q&A. How did you find a strong purpose and meaning in your life? Alan and I are blessed to have that certainty, and we want to help you find that as well. As always, we love you. We are appreciative. We are grateful for each and every one of you. We couldn't do it without you. And at Next Level U, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.